You're listening to another episode of the Just Go Bike podcast. That's AKA Murph.
And that's AP. And this is the podcast where we talk about cycling just for the fun of it, with tales from all over the nation. Come for the bikes, stay for the fun, and leave with a smile. Well, hello, AP. How's it going?
It's going fantastically. I've got the Rocky Mountains on my mind. How are you doing?
Oh, man, same thing. Before we push record, we were talking about mountains and way high elevation and the beauty, and I just booked my flight for Colorado, and I am pretty pumped to head west.
Yes, exactly. So for those of you who don't follow us, which is good because that's a little creepy, Murph and I are going to be riding the RAGBRAI route inspection and then heading immediately to ride the Rockies, which is going to be an adventure. So we're going to be heading both to Fort Collins, Colorado, along with Ann and Erica from the RAGBRAI and Ride the Rockies team. And we're going to be the crew for the Ride the Rockies, or a part of the crew for the Ride the Rockies.
Yes, Ride the Rockies is such a really cool event. And it's a biking event. It's not quite like RAGBRAI, but it's a 6-day event where you ride your bike. And speaking as an Iowan, looking at and being near and, of course, in and on the mountains is such a treat.
Absolutely. Now, dealing with the elevation, that's another question. We have
for sure.
a couple tactics that we're going to try to deal with it, but it's more than worth it because it's so drop dead gorgeous. The biking is unmatched. And as you might remember, listener, in February, several months ago now, we interviewed the, at the time, brand new Ride the Rockies ride director, Sabra Nagel. And it was right after she was hired, so she was pretty green. And now I'll tell you, she's a complete pro, and she's back to update us on all things Ride the Rockies.
Yes, Sabra is on today to give us details about this upcoming week-long ride in Colorado, including route info, things to look forward to, lodging, pretty much all the things that you may be curious about. And even if you're not doing this ride, it's really interesting to hear about, other bike rides that are happening, somewhere in the United States.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't know about you, but I could chat with Sabra for ages because she's been in the bike industry forever, and she just has a really deep knowledge of the sport and obviously now an intricate knowledge of Ride the Rockies. So if you're interested, if you hear this episode and you're like, oh, maybe I should ride the Rockies, and you should consider it, you can still sign up and get more information at ridetherockies.com.
Yes, and if all of our logistics plan out, I will be riding a little bit of Ride the Rockies, so feel free to reach out, and maybe you can push me up the mountain. Okay, well, let's hear our interview with Sabra. All right, well, let's welcome back Sabra Nagel to the show. How are you, Sabra?
I'm doing great, Murph. How are you doing?
Good, good. And as Andrea and I talked about a little bit ago, Sabra is the Ride the Rockies director. So we spoke probably was that January or February of this year, wasn't it, Sabra?
Yeah, I think it was the very first week of February.
Yeah, and you were fresh in your role and getting ready to announce the route for Ride the Rockies 2023. And now we've got a time warp we're just kind of weeks away from the ride.
Oh God, don't remind me. It seems like I'm standing in the tracks and the freight train is coming.
Well, you are on today to talk all things Ride the Rockies and get an update, or give us an update. And of course, I'll put in the show notes a link to your first episode that you did with us, where you kind of talk about, your past and all your other experiences, so that if people are curious about you, the person, they can go check that out.
That sounds like a plan.
Okay. Well, first off, for those who maybe don't know, will you give just maybe an overview of what exactly Ride the Rockies is?
Sure. Ride the Rockies has been an institution in Colorado for over 30 years. The first one went off in 1986.
Oh, wow.
And so I'm really looking forward to 2026 when we have our 40th year. We're going to make sure it's a big one that year. But let's talk about Ride the Rockies 2023.
Yeah.
So the dates for this year's ride are June 10th our prologue ride. If anybody's interested in riding with people like Denise Mueller and Todd Gagolski,
Nice.
please look at the website and check that out and sign up for the prologue. We're going to have some fun activities around that event. But the real ride with everybody starts on June 11th and goes through June 16th.
Okay. And I'm sure there's nobody who's questioning this, but this is a ride that takes place in Colorado, and I'm going to assume because the name of the ride is Ride the Rockies that there may be some mountains involved.
Just a couple, nothing big.
I can tell you, and this is funny because, I met you at the announcement party for Ride the Rockies, and I was just like, oh my gosh, 3,000 feet of climb this day and 5,000 feet of climb. And I was like overwhelmed with the elevation each day. And you can tell all the people who are in Colorado because they kind of looked at me and laughed and said, that's every day here in Colorado.
That's very true. Unless you live and stay, basically east of the Front Range, you're going to be climbing 1,000 feet every day just to get to your house.
Oh my gosh, wow. That's way different than the rural Iowa that, all of us who do RAGBRAI experience, which I won't say there's no elevation because there definitely is. It's just way, way different. But
Yeah, I think in a lot of ways, though, a ride like RAGBRAI or riding in Iowa is tougher because the hills there's a lot of them. Yes, Iowa has hills, and the climbs are shorter, but they're relentless. At
mm-hmm.
least if you've climbed 28 miles, up Berthoud Pass, you've got 20 miles of downhill. Just sit on your bike and enjoy the view.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah, yeah. So you said you've got, 6 days of Ride the Rockies, and then you also said that there's a prologue. So those are two different events that do they happen near the same area?
Yeah, so the prologue is kind of our special treat ride. It's We have VIPs come in, as I mentioned, like Denise Mueller, who
Mm-hmm.
holds the land speed record for a paced bicycle. She has the 183 miles per hour on a bike, which is insane.
It's
Um,
yes, it is.
and then Todd Gagolski, who used to be a pro racer, and he was a commentator on Versus, and he's just a lot of fun. So he's coming along, and then the president of Primal will be on that ride, and some other really wonderful cycling advocates. And the ride does start in and end in Fort Collins.
Hmm.
It starts with a breakfast served by Bijou Thomas. And for those of you who don't know, Bijou is one of the co-founders of Scratch Labs, as
Oh.
well as just an amazing cycling advocate. He's been to RAGBRAI several times serving food and doing other things. And he will be accompanying us on the ride, which is really going to be fun because his food is good, his energy is unmatched. And so he'll be doing the breakfast and the lunch actually for the
Wow.
prologue.
Okay.
Um, and then during the ride, we will be stopping by the Howling Cow Cafe, which is where Noosa yogurt is made. And they have a really cool little cafe there that the riders will be able to just grab a bite of either a breakfast sandwich or a lunch sandwich,
Mm.
depending on what time of day they get there, before they finish the ride at Greenbrier Park in Fort Collins, where again, Bijou will be serving lunch.
Wow. So, okay, you've got some VIPs that are going to be part of this event, but can just your everyday people be part of Prologue, or do they have to just watch from afar?
No, they can be part of Prologue. They can go in and register for Prologue.
Oh,
The
nice.
the cost for that day is $1,500, but that includes Friday. We have a VIP cocktail party at New Belgium, and so that's where they'll be able to meet and just chat with some of the VIPs and some of the other sponsors and people. And then on Saturday morning, as I said, there's the breakfast, the lunch, and then we have a VIP dinner at Lincoln Center in Fort Collins, which will be catered by Lick Skillet Catering. And yeah, they are really amazing. And then,
Mm. Yeah,
your
I
hotel
remember that.
rooms are provided for 2 nights as well. So It's just a really fun time. It might have a bit of a price tag on it, but when you consider hotel rooms and two breakfasts and two dinners and a couple of lunches in there, it's well worth it.
Sure. Yeah. And it's just kind of an extra bonus that you can be part of if you want, or you can just skip over that and do Ride the Rockies. But man, I've done an episode with Denise Mueller, and I've also rode with her. No, let me rephrase that. I've also spent time with her on RAGBRAI. I don't actually ride with her. I can't keep up, but she is a treat to be around. High energy, really cool. And I'm really looking forward to meeting Todd.
Yeah, they're both great. I've only had one phone conversation with Denise, but it was amazing. It was just, this is going to be so much fun.
Yeah. Okay, so you can be part of the prologue if you want. Go to the website. Is there anything else that you want to share with us about prologue?
Yeah, I'm negligent in not mentioning this right off the top, but the day does benefit the Davis Finney Foundation,
Oh, okay.
and we are just really excited because we're going to have Davis Finney on the ride that day as well.
Oh,
So
nice.
he has his own foundation which supports people and families with Parkinson's disease, and they have a really great message. And so they will be at the dinner on Saturday night. They'll be kind of talking about what their vision is and what it is that the Davis Finney Foundation does for people with Parkinson's and their families.
Wow. This is a top-notch event, the prologue. Wow.
Yeah, I think it's really going to be cool. I'm
Mhm.
looking forward to it.
Wow. All right. Well, like I said, go to ridetherockies.com, find out more about the prologue, and knowing that Davis Finney Foundation is the beneficiary even is icing on the cake.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so let's get into Ride the Rockies, the actual event. Tell us whatever you want, whether it's daily mileage, elevation, I don't know, whatever you want to tell us.
How long is this podcast, Murph? All right. Well, I'm sure many of you have if you're interested in Ride the Rockies, you looked at the website, ridetherockies.com, and kind of gotten yourself familiar with the route. We're excited about it this year. We're excited about it for a couple of reasons. One, we feel like, the not quite as expansive days will be able to bring in those people who, still have jobs and don't have as much time to train.
Mm-hmm.
Considering the weather around the country this year that we've all been having, some of the training days have definitely been shortened. And for Ride the Rockies, that's brilliant because there are some days that don't pull in all the mileage.
Mm-hmm.
And also, it's a great training ride if you've got some other events that are coming up further in the season.
Oh, sure.
Just to name drop again, when I was talking to Denise Mueller, she mentioned that she's going to France the week before the Tour de France,
Mm.
and she's going to have to do the Queen Stage for that year,
Oh,
which
wow.
at this point, I don't know what the Queen Stage is, but it will be up a major mountain. And so she's looking forward to using Ride the Rockies as a training ride for that day. So
Yeah. And here we
that,
are in, dare I say, mid-May, let's say beginning-ish of May. And just yesterday on social media, I saw that it had snowed in Breckenridge. So, you're so right about training. Like, people who are maybe on stick bikes that are used to pavement, you don't want to be in the snow in May trying to train for a big event.
yeah, no, that's really true. Unless, like my husband has a fat bike with studs on it, so he can
Yeah,
go
yeah,
train in May.
yeah.
Yeah. All right. So day one is going to be brilliant. It's a fairly good warm up day with 45.9 miles. It has a completely steady climb almost all the way. So don't think 45.9 miles sounds like a cakewalk
Mm-hmm.
because you've still got, a pretty good gradual climb for 38 of those 45 miles,
Oh
I would
my
have guessed.
goodness. Wow.
Yeah, yeah. And the elevation on that day is 4,532 feet. So, if you're doing that over 30 some miles, it's not insignificant.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Day 2 is kind of the day to shake out the bugs. Maybe your bike wasn't quite where you wanted it on the first day and you're trying to figure out what you need to do, because day 2 will be an out and back to Allen's Park, and that's 35 miles with 3,500 feet of climbing. That's nice symmetry there.
Mm-hmm.
All climbing all the way out, and then you turn around and it's all downhill all the way back. So
Ooh,
that'll be a lot of fun.
perfectly planned. Yeah.
Yeah, and the thing that'll be really nice is at the end of that really long climb, Bijou is going to be serving pancakes for everyone. So,
Oh, nice.
and it's going to be a fundraiser for the town of Allens Park and the Allens Park Fire Department. It'll be held at the Allens Park Firehouse. So, bring $10 and sit down and have some pancakes, and then just get on your bike and one pedal stroke, and you'll end up back in Estes Park.
Perfect.
Day 3, of course, is the day we're all looking forward to, and that is the day that we climb Trail Ridge Road. So what I do want everybody to know about day 3 is it's an early day. So
And there's a
be
reason why,
prepared.
correct?
Yes, there is a reason why, and that's because per the permit provided to us by the Rocky Mountain National Park. And for those of you who don't realize, every inch of this ride has been permitted. So we have to follow the conditions that are put into those permits. And per the permit by the national park, we have to be through the entrance gate to the park by 7 a.m. Any riders that are not through that entrance gate by 7 a.m. will be told, not asked, told by the Park Service to get in a SAG vehicle and be moved SAG forward to the appropriate start or to the appropriate spot so that they can make it through the park by 2 p.m.
Wow. Okay, so
So,
everyone needs to maybe get extra cup of coffee in the morning, get up early so that they can be moving and grooving.
yep, exactly. Yeah. And unfortunately, we'll have aid stations in the park, but we won't be able to vend. So, no pancake vendor that day. You'll have to wait till you get to Grand Lake for your pancakes. But that's a 50-mile day, and it's just under 50 miles, and it's 5,500 feet of climbing. So, um, you know, I think that you'll earn your Wheaties. You'll be glad you got up early. You'll get to, see the park when it'll be daylight, but kind of still peaceful and quiet. And
Right.
hopefully there'll be lots of elk and some other critters out for the riders to see as they start their climb up to the top of the pass. Day 4, Grand Lake to Winter Park. Again, that's going to be a fun day because you can just ride your bike. It's 38 miles. It's only 2,300 feet of elevation gain. So that's a good day to after the Trail Ridge day to just kind of hang out, talk to your friends, ride your bike, enjoy yourself.
Yeah.
Day 5, we got another big pass. So even though it's only 50 miles, it's a huge Berthoud Pass is a huge climb to go over. I think I said in the previous podcast that it's as close to Alpe d'Huez as we get in this part of Colorado.
Ooh.
Because there's some really nice switchbacks on it. Switchbacks are great because it gives you a chance to rest and then you start to climb again. And then we'll go down into, as we come off Berthoud Pass and pass through Empire, we go past the Rocky Mountain Village, which is an Easter Seals camp, and they have graciously agreed to host an aid station. And again, we will have a fundraising pancake breakfast at Rocky Mountain Village. So keep that in mind and bring another $10.
Sweet. Okay.
And then day 6 is our last day, Central City to Fort Collins. That's the big one. It's about 93 miles, 5,600 feet of climbing. We go through Netherlands, where the Carousel of Happiness is hosting a pancake breakfast. They will have the carousel open. I'm not even going to tell you about the carousel other than you can't but smile if you go in and ride it. So go
cool.
in and ride it.
Okay,
It's
cool.
amazing. and it's all handmade. It's amazing. So anyway, that's in the town of Nederland, and then from there we climb up over Peak to Peak Highway and then down Colorado 7 into Lyons, where Lyons is excited to welcome Ride the Rockies. They're going to have a blowout aid station with Oscar Blues providing some beer and a couple of food trucks, and people can chill a little bit and then head on to Fort Collins.
Nice.
I do want to say in Lyons, if you're not out of there by 2:00, you'll have to be sagged forward because we need to kind of finish this ride at some point during the day.
Right.
And we will be finishing on the campus of Colorado State University at Kansas Stadium. And the other reason you want to get there is at some point, hopefully, we will have a video showing highlights of the ride to put on their Jumbotron. And this is a Jumbotron like nothing I've ever seen before.
Oh,
So
at
that
the
is
at the
just
stadium?
at the stadium. Yeah.
Ooh, fun.
Yeah.
N-
So that's just going to be something that you'll be able to sit there and, go to the food trucks, grab something to eat, have a beer, and maybe you'll get to see yourself on I don't even know how big this thing is, but 60-foot Jumbotron. I don't even know, but it's huge and it's beautiful.
Wow, that is what a way to end, a fabulous week, but by seeing yourself on a jumbotron.
Well, in my case, I'd rather not, but
Okay, how about you watch all the other riders be on the jumbotron?
yeah, I think that'll be the way to do it.
What types of things and events can riders enjoy after they're done riding? Because, you mentioned it's a little bit lower mileage, which there's still elevation, so it's not necessarily going to be super, super short days. But I'm sure that you have events or things planned for riders to experience.
Absolutely. That's been, one of my key goals this year is to just make the experience after the ride just as cool as the ride. And so every night we have bands of some sort happening at the HQ location. Of course, we'll have a beer garden. We have several different options on beer gardens depending on which town we're in and what we're doing. So there will be beer gardens every night. There will be bands and entertainment every night. I'm going to ask Denise Mueller to do a little 30-minute talk in one of the towns because she's got a new project going on that is really interesting, and I'd love people to hear about it. And then Monday night is going to be really special in Estes Park because we've rented the Historic Park Theater,
Ooh.
and we'll be putting the details of this up on the website within the next couple of days. But we're going to be showing the much talked about RAGBRAI documentary Shift.
Oh, very good.
I think at 1:00 in the afternoon on Monday, and then in the evening we're going to do Shift as well as American Flyers,
Oh, nice.
and Bijou is going to provide dinner for anyone who wants to come to that, so they'll be able to eat some kind of luscious wrap or panini or something from Bijou while they watch American Flyers. The benefits from that event will go to the Davis Finney Foundation.
Nice, nice.
So hopefully we will have Davis there to give a little talk, but he's a busy man, so we're not sure about that. But we will definitely have some people just give a little intro into what the Davis Finney Foundation is about. So if people didn't go to the prologue and they want to know more about the Finney Foundation, they can come to the movie and dinner and a movie.
Wow, this is great.
Yeah, that's going to be a really cool special evening. And then when we get to Grand Lake, they have a lot of really awesome things planned. One of their activities is going to be, we're going to have bands, but they're also offering an alternative health fair if people want to participate in that. But anybody who signs up for the alternative health fair will be treated to a sound immersion therapy session up at Shadow Cliff, which is this beautiful property above Grand Lake that it is also a hostel and has housing and stuff there, but there's a chapel up there that's just beautiful, and they'll be doing a sound immersion therapy session in there. And if you've never felt the vibrations of these ancient bells, or actually they're bowls, bowls that they make ring. You ought to try it. It can't even be explained.
I've seen it, like on social media, but I've never experienced it live. So that would be quite a sight to see and hear.
Yeah, it's more like quite a sight to feel.
Quite a sight to feel. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. So, and then the cool thing at Grand Lake is, so we there's a dock there, and so Grand Lake is going to run a water taxi all day from the RV camping over to our HQ, which is in their lakeside park.
Oh,
So people can hop on and do a boat ride just for fun. That's kind of a cool, only in Grand Lake, right? We don't have lakes everywhere. So that will be really fun for people. And then, of course, we have bands and things going on down at the lakeside all day. That's where the beer garden will be.
mm-hmm.
Winter Park, the Rendezvous Center. Winter Park is hosting everything there. So it's going to be a surprise to me as well what they're doing. But I know that their chamber and their Visit Winter Park, and they're amazing. So they're going to plan really fun activities, lots of lawn games and music. And they have a Jumbotron too. So we'll definitely have some video going. And you're just going to have to go to Rendezvous Center and find out what's happening in Winter Park
Okay.
because
Okay.
they're keeping it a secret even from me.
But
Um,
guaranteed good stuff.
Guaranteed good stuff. Yeah. Yeah. They have built a pavilion for doing their jazz festival, their, Taste of Winter Park. They do a beer tasting festival. They do all kinds of things all summer long. And this is the pavilion that they have built to host all these activities. So that they know how to do
Yeah.
entertainment for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then our final, well, from Winter Park to Central City is going to be no joke. And truthfully, I am still negotiating with our Colorado DOT to make this ride a little bit easier. But right now, it's going to be kind of an epic ride. As you go through Idaho Springs, you'll be asked to make a left and go straight uphill.
Mm.
And I do want to forewarn people there's about 3 miles of gravel on this part of the ride. We will have SAG vehicles available for people who just feel like it's a little more than they can handle because part of the ride is 12% grade.
Oh, wow.
But it's worth it. If you can do it, it's worth it because the views off of this ride are spectacular. I mean, not that we haven't had spectacular views almost every day of the ride, but the views off that day are going to be really, really neat. It goes through an old ghost town, and there's just a lot of interesting things. And then there's a screaming descent into Central City where Main Street will be closed, and I have a very nice group of people in the town who have been working hard to bring us entertainment in Central City.
Excellent.
So again, that's going to be a surprise. We'll see what happens, what they have in store for us, but I'm sure it will be fantastic. And now we get to the last day, and I've already talked a little bit about the last day with just all of the entertainment in Nederland and in Lyons, and then the big Jumbotron at CSU.
Yes. So it sounds like, we've got a little bit lower mileage, still plenty of climbing, but we need to make sure riders save a little bit of energy each day because it sounds like there's plenty of things to do after the ride each day.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And our host towns are working so hard to make this an event to remember that, everybody needs to go into the host towns and find out what they all have to offer.
Yeah.
Some of these little towns, tourism is their bread and butter. And so for Ride the Rockies to come in and, help with those numbers for the year, especially in, after everybody talks about the continuing effects of COVID, and they're not discussing health when they talk about that. They're discussing,
Yeah, the
you
financial
know,
side.
the financial side exactly.
Yes,
So,
yeah.
Ride the Rockies can definitely help some of these little towns get back to where they were in 2019.
Yes, yes. So people who are listening to this that are maybe already registered for Ride the Rockies are probably like, oh my gosh, I can't wait. I'm getting so excited. But I'm sure there's a few people out there that have listened this far and they're like, wait a minute, I think I want to do this. But of course, we're going to send them to the website. But in general, is this considered a camping event, a hotel event? You did mention RVs briefly, but like, what do most people do on this event?
It's looking like it's about 50-50. This year it is more camping than we expected, which has been a challenge,
Mm-hmm.
definitely. Find some of these campgrounds, I will not kid our participants. Some of these campgrounds are going to be really intimate, and some of them will be, have a little more space to them. But yeah, there's plenty of hotel rooms in all of the towns, probably still quite a few available, but I wouldn't sit back and wait much longer on that. If you're on the fence and think, do I want to camp or do I want to stay on a nice bed? Hey, I'm going to take a bed every time, but that's your choice. Um, but we can accommodate whatever it is that you desire to do. So like I said, if you Grand Lake's the perfect example. If you check into Grand Lake and they don't have any hotel rooms, we are providing shuttles to Winter Park. So give yourself a treat and spend 2 nights in Winter Park,
Oh,
and
I see. Yeah.
we'll make sure that you get shuttled back to your hotel room that evening, and then we'll pick you up in plenty of time in the morning to get back to Grand Lake to ride your bike back to Winter Park. So if that's what you want to do. But yeah, there's, plenty of hotels along the route, or we are providing camping spots. But like I said, be prepared because some of them are pretty small, so it's going to be a tight fit to get all the campers in there.
So what I'm hearing is bring earplugs.
Yeah, noise canceling headphones might be the best way to go.
But regardless of how people choose to sleep, part of Ride the Rockies registration is moving gear every day, correct?
Yes, and I qualify that. So there is Summit Cycle Solutions, and they are amazing. I've been working very closely with them, and they offer a couple of different options. And I highly recommend you go on to our website, link up to them, and see what they have to offer. They will haul your gear to your hotel and leave it at the front desk. So you do need to have a front desk if that happens.
Mm-hmm.
But that way you can ride your bike to the hotel, which is great. So you got your best friend in the room with you. Maybe you've even got another person who's a friend in the room with you. Um, and then your luggage has been deposited at the front desk so you can carry it up to your room. And there's a warm shower and a soft bed waiting for you there.
Mm-hmm.
Or they will offer camping, and they do everything for you. So they'll set up your tent. They'll make sure that you're next to a friend if that's what you want, and they'll have your gear waiting for you at your tent every day when you get done with your ride,
Nice. Okay.
um, which is amazing. And then of course there's the independent people who don't sign up for Summit Cycling Solutions, and we will transport luggage, but we will leave the luggage at our HQ location. Obviously, it's secured, it's unloaded on the ground for you. And we will have 24-hour security on the bike corral in every town. And in Grand Lake, they'll actually be locked up in a building with 24-hour security. So they
Excellent.
will definitely be as safe as we can possibly make them. And again, then in the morning, you need to get your luggage back to HQ, and we'll be running shuttles in the morning.
Well, is there anything else about the upcoming Ride the Rockies that you want to share with listeners?
Just please come. Let's have a great time. I have the privilege of throwing a week-long party for some amazing cyclists from all over the country and other parts of the world, and I want everybody to come join us and join the party. The more the merrier.
Yes. And for me, the thing that is just breathtaking every second of being in Colorado are the views. And I know, you live in it every day, but man, just being able to ride your bike on some of those passes and just seeing the views is just mind blowing to me.
Yeah, it is a special place for sure.
And as of right now, if you're listening to this episode in May of 2023, you can still register, correct?
Yes, absolutely. We will have registration open for several more weeks, and we want people to come join us. And we will do a packet pickup for those of you that register between now and when it closes.
Excellent. And it's ridetherockies.com, and it's just a nice place to go to just, you can see all the maps already. You can see some of the great things that are planned. So there's lots of things to see on the website that may encourage you to pull the trigger and get registered.
Yeah. And there's our marketing coordinator, Peter, has been working his fingers to the bone, finding out information about all the towns, putting in lots of links to interesting things along the ride. And so there are town pages in there for every overnight town that will tell people, what else is there to see here or do here? Where can I go, get that awesome fish taco, or what's the best coffee shop in town or whatever. So spend some time on that website because it will really, really tell you all the things about Ride the Rockies 2023.
What an excellent way to explore Colorado. Like, just to see new places and do it via the bicycle like this. It's going to be epic. I'm really looking forward to coming to Colorado as part of your crew. Me and AP will be there, and gosh, maybe we'll do a podcast while we're there.
That would be fun.
I know.
That would be fun. Let's do the Man on the Street podcast.
There you go. Yeah. Well, Sabra, thank you so much for your time. I know it's a busy time for you getting ready for this ride, but thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
You are welcome. Thank you for inviting me.
Well, listeners, that is it for this week. We both want to thank you for tuning in to listen to the Just Go Bike podcast.
And if you'd like to contact us with a comment about the podcast, or maybe you have a topic in mind, you can reach us at justgobikepodcast@gmail.com, or you can also follow us on social media at Just Go Bike on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
Please rate, review, and subscribe to this podcast, especially if you're a fan. And if you have any extra time, pop on over to the Murphology podcast for more bike adventure interviews.
All right, that's a wrap. We'll be back next week. Until then, just go bike!